Hi guys, sorry I couldn't be there today for your first quiz, but I did want to go over the review that we would have done before we started the quiz. So our warm-up for today was to use the law of detachment or the last syllogism to reach a logical conclusion based on the sentence. This is what your last question on today's quiz is going to look like, question number 5. Remember for this one that you're going to read sentence number 1 and sentence number 2, and you're going to look for the what repeats. Once you find the repeating words, you want to make sure you grab what's in front of them, either all the way to the beginning of the sentence or to the comma and the period. So let's go ahead and read sentence number 1. If a student finishes their homework, then they can play video games. Now let's read sentence number 2. If a student plays video games, then they are happy. Now I'm going to pause and I'm going to see what is the same between sentence 1 and sentence 2. Hopefully you said, then they can play video games, and if a student plays video games. As I highlight, I'm noticing that the word then is highlighted in sentence number 1 and the word if is highlighted in sentence number 2. This, as you recall, is the law of syllogism because I'm seeing both of them. Then remember the therefore part, we cancel out the things that we highlighted or we just ignore them. If it helps you, cross them out. And the remaining sentence is my therefore. So, hold on. There we go. If a student finishes their homework, and I'm to the comma right now, so I'm going to put the comma, and I'm going to go to sentence 2, then they are happy. Okay? And that's going to be our last question for today. Don't forget you can use your notes, and this came from lesson 1.3. This came from lesson 1.3. All right, let's take a look at the other questions that you're going to see on your quiz today. For questions number 1 and 2, you're going to get a figure similar to this, and you're going to be asked 2 questions. So I have 4 here for us to review so that we can see a variety of the questions I could ask. Excuse my pug if you heard him. But questions 1 and 2 will be something similar to these 4. So notice this first question here asks us to name the plane. If you forgot how to name the plane, you're going to go back to your notes in lesson 1.1 and you're going to find where it said plane. So here I have our 1.1 notes. There's no plane here. This one has line and point. So I'm going to go to the next page. There's the plane. Here's a picture of what it looks like. And right here is how we name it. So we can name it by using the letter in the corner. If we choose to do that, we do have to write the word plane, or we can choose any of 3 letters that are on the plane that create a triangle. So let's go back and practice. Let's go back and take a look at ours. Do we have the capital letter in the corner? Yes, we do. So we could call this one plane Z. That would be a perfectly good name for it. Or using 3 letters, I could say F, G, H. Now there are other names as well. The only letters I cannot use would be the W, the V, the Y, and the X. They are not points. They are lowercase letters. Let my laser disappear. And they're there to name the line. So those letters are out. And then, of course, points E and D I cannot use because they are not on the plane. They're above it. So any of these letters, as long as they create a triangle, will work. There we go. All right, so any of those will work as long as we can create a triangle. All right, let's take a look at the next one. The next question says, name 3 Collinear points. That was a vocabulary word in 1.1. So let's go back and let's take a look at our notes. I don't see collinear here. There it is. Remember, I asked you to highlight it. And remember, some of you might see this one. So make sure you know where those are. Collinear points are points on the same line. So I just need to find 3 points in this picture that are on the same line. Well, there are 4 lines in here. There's this one, but it only has 2 points. There's this one, it has 3 points, so I could use those, E, F, and K. There's this one, it has 3 points, I, F, and H. And there's this one, G, F, and G, G, F, and J. All right, so I'm going to do the first one that we ran across, E, F, K, but there are others as well. There are others as well. The only letters you couldn't use to answer this one would be D, but that's because D and F are the only points on that line. Of course, you can't use the lowercase letters and you can't use Z because Z doesn't have a point. All right, then you're going to be asked to name a pair of opposite rays. This is in lesson 1.1 as well. Oh, did I bring that page? Oh, let's see. I might not have brought that page over. I didn't. It's the next page. Hold on just a second. Let me go grab that page. Let's go grab it. I didn't want to have to do this, but that's okay. Let's go take a look at that page. There it is. There's my opposite rays. This is what an opposite ray must look like. They have to be collinear. So in my picture, if I'm asked about opposite rays, I'm going to find a line that has 3 points. Okay, so the one we just used would work. And I'm going to name the 2 opposite rays just like this. Notice I'm using that center letter to the left to name one of them, and then the center letter to the right to name the other. And this is the symbol that I will always use. So let's go back to our example and let's find that because I want to say there's quite a few answers that we could have. There we go. All right, so here we go. We could use the same line from up here because remember, opposite rays are collinear. So we could use this one, and that's the first one I'm going to do. So I would pick F in the center. Let me use my highlighters. F in the center and go up since I can't go left. So F, E would be the first one, and this is the symbol I use for ray. And then I could put like and then I'm going to go F, and I'm going to go in the opposite direction, and I see the letter K. And I'm going to use the same one. Okay, that is not the only answer in this picture. I could have done FI in yellow, FH in purple, and it would look exactly like my notes. FJ in yellow, FG in purple. I can't use this one, although I have FD. I don't have another point going down, so that would be the only one that I could not use. All right, and our last and final question is going to use the concept of collinear again, but this time it's going to add non-collinear. So remember, collinear, we already looked up, means 1, 2, 3 on the same line. Now we need 3 of them that are not on the same line. So you might want to use A and D for these because they are, sorry, not A, E and D. You might want to use, whoa, you might want to use E and D for these because they are not connected as well. And then as long as you use any other letter, G would be a good one because they're not connected as well. It's all right to use ones that are connected like G, and F. As long as you use another letter like E, you're perfectly fine. So it's okay to have two of them connected as long as the third one is not connected to the other two, you are non-collinear. All right, let's take a look at what question number 3 is going to look like. You're going to have a picture like this, and you're going to be asked to name two angles. In this picture, there are more than two angles, and there will be more than two angles in your picture as well. I can see 1, 2, 3 right away, but remember there's also the fourth angle, which is the line here, okay? So there's 4 options. I only need 2. I only need 2. So I could start with A, E, B. Let me use my highlighter to show you which one I did. This angle right here. I could also name that angle BEA, because remember, as long as E's in the center, as long as E's in the center, the vertex, you're fine naming it any other way. I'm going to name another one, my second one, C, E, D. Let me grab another highlighter so that you can see that one. Okay, that's all I need. That's all I need. But you could also name that angle there in the center, right? You don't need to name them all, just the two. But I just want you to see where these other ones are. Okay, and then of course there's this one. That one would work as well. Remember, with all of these, you can switch it as long as E stays in the center, you're fine. Okay. Do not use the vertex for the name because there are more than one. I can visually see 3 right here on my screen. There is technically a fourth one, but it's okay if you don't see it. If you forgot how to name the angles, you could go to your notes. I think I have them in there. Oh, no, I don't. That's in lesson 1.2, and you can see how you can name them. Let me show you just really quick. I probably should have done that before. Oh, right here. Here it is. So as you can see right here, here's the angle, right? I see the word angle and it shows me right here how to name it. Remember, I only use this if it's one angle like it was here. This is more like what my picture looks like. So I would want to use names like this to name them. And this is showing us why we don't want to just use the letter, the vertex letter. All right. And for our last question, question number 4, let's go to the back of the page. Here we go. And let's take a look at this. So for question number 4, you will see a picture similar to this with a circle and its parts, and you will be asked one of these 4 questions. I think there's one other question I could ask, maybe the tangent as I quickly scan this. But remember, if you don't know, this is going to be question number 4. You can go to lesson 1.2's notes, find the circle. There it is, and it's going to show you exactly what each piece looks like. Okay, it's going to show you exactly what each piece looks like. And right now we're going to talk about how we would name them. All right, so let's name the diameter. From my notes, I know that the diameter has to go through the center and touch both sides of the circle. So I would call it LM or ML, and I would use just a segment symbol across the top. Look at how it looks on the picture. It starts at L, it goes through O, and it ends at M. So we're going to put the start and the stop, and we're not going to put the O. We don't only use 2, never 3. All right, name all the chords. From my picture, I could see that this is a chord. So I might put A, B, and once again, just the line. There is one more chord. There is one more chord. You could also put from C to D because remember we talked about a chord hiding inside of a secant. And then you could put the diameter because yes, technically it is a chord, but you would not lose points if you didn't put it, and you wouldn't lose points if you did put it. So I'm not expecting the diameter here, but if you put it, that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to put it in gray because it doesn't really have to be there. You wouldn't gain or lose any points. All right, name all the radii. This is the radius. So the first radius that you're going to see is probably going to be this one from the center to the side. So you're probably going to put something like OP or PO, and then you just want the line up above. No arrows are on these pictures as I look at them in the circle, so I don't want any arrows on my lines when I name them. There are two other radii. Remember, the diameter has two radiuses. So right here in the center to L is a radius, and right here from the center to M is a radius. So we also have OL and we also have OM. Now, no, you do not have to put the center first. I'm just doing that so that you know where to look for the radius. All right, and our final question is all the secants. Once again, I can go back and look at my picture, but my secant is this one right here. This one's my secant. So I'm going to use the two letters, and I'm going to use the symbol with the arrows. All right. I hope this really helps on your quiz today. I just want to draw your attention right here to the hints. These are telling you that question numbers 1 and 2 it can be helpful to go look in your 1.1 notes. So go back to your lesson 1.1 notes and look there. For questions 3 and 4, it would be helpful for you to go back to your lesson 1.2 notes and look there if you're not sure. And then our fifth and final question, that was our warm up today. That one came from lesson 1.3. Good luck. I know you'll do great. And I'll see you on Tuesday.